One of the cool things you can do in Unity 3D is run scripts inside the editor without pressing play. You can write functions that let you add or place game objects in your scene without the extra work of copying, pasting, and moving game objects. Suppose you're creating a pawn clone and you want to create a dotted line using this little dash. You'd have to duplicate and move a lot of dashes to create a dotted line. Instead, we're going to write a script to do that for us and run it right inside the editor. We'll create a new C# script and we'll call it duplicate dash. We'll open that script in Visual Studio. We don't need these, so we can delete both of them. We are going to need a public float, distance between dashes, a private float, position Y, and a public int, number of dashes. Distance between dashes is how far apart we'll space the dots. Position Y is where we'll be placing each dash. Number of dashes is how many dashes we'll be placing. Next, we need a public game object and a public transform. The game object is what we're placing in the scene. We're going to make those game objects the children of the transform so we don't clutter up the hierarchy. Since we only want this function to run in the Unity editor, we're going to add some platform-dependent compilation code. This guarantees the function will only run in the editor and its code won't be included in any build. We type hash if bracket unity underscore editor end bracket. We'll close that code with hash end if. Now anything we put inside this block will only run in the inspector and won't be compiled when we build our game. Now I'll create a function called dup_dashes. Sharp-eyed viewers will notice I forgot to add public void in front of the function name. Now we need a for next loop. A shortcut for this is to type for and hit the tab key twice. I change max to number of dashes and press the escape key to exit the shortcut. We need to set our vertical position for the dashes, so we write position Y equals I times distance between dashes. We need to create a reference to the game object we're instantiating. To do that, we write GameObject my-1 equals instantiate bracket my-prefab, comma, new vector3, bracket 0, comma, position Y, comma, 0, end bracket, comma, quaternion.identity, end bracket, colon. What does this mean? We are instantiating the my-prefab in this position with the same rotation as the prefab and creating a reference to it with the name my-1. Now we're going to take the my-1 game object and make it a child of the whole dashes game object so we don't have dozens of dashes cluttering up the hierarchy. So we add my-1.transform.parent equals whole dashes. That takes care of dashes from the center of the screen and up. Now we need to add dashes going down from the center of the screen. We don't want to create a second dash at position 0, so we start with if I is not equal to 0. We'll copy these two lines and paste them inside our curly braces. We change the game object name to my-2 and add a minus sign in front of position Y to give us negative values. Clean up the code and then save. Switch to Unity and let it compile the code. And here's the error where I forgot to put void in front of the function name. Now I add the duplicate dash script to the whole dashes game object. I set distance between dashes to 1.1 and set the number of dashes to 16. I switch to the project view. Now I can create the dotted line prefab by dragging the dotted line game object to the prefab folder. I turn off the prefab in the game scene and then select the whole dashes game object. I drag the prefab to the my-prefab slot in the inspector and then drag the whole dashes game object to the whole dashes slot in the inspector. Before we can call this function from the context menu, we're going to have to add one more line of code. We'll type square bracket, context menu, bracket, quote, make my dashes, exclamation mark, end quote, end bracket, and square bracket. You can put any name you like inside the quotation marks. This is what shows up in the context menu. Save, switch back to Unity, and let it compile the script again. Now the function shows up in the context menu as make my dashes. Select the function, and our dashes show up in the game scene as children of the whole dashes game object. So that's how you can run scripts inside the Unity editor to add game objects to your scene. This example is just the tip of the iceberg with what you can do when running scripts in the Unity editor. You can use the Unity editor to make creating applications easier and faster, manipulate data, and so much more. Here's an example where I use a function along with an editor script that creates a button at the bottom of my script in the inspector. I have a portion of a subrip subtitle file here that I want to convert to an array of a subtitle class. I don't want to manually enter all the individual times and captions into each array, so I wrote a function that will do that for me. An editor script allows me to add a button to the bottom of the script in the inspector. This lets me do faster one-click conversions so I don't have to click and hold the gear shift icon, scroll down, and select the function. Press the button and the subtitle is converted in the editor and populate the subtitle array class. I'm Mark Sweeney. Thanks for watching.